Hi everyone, it's Miss Karen. Today we are going to read Finding Nemo. Some of you have probably already watched the movie about the little clownfish and Dora, his friend, who always gets confused. But let's read the story. So this looks like the world and some of the things he's going to encounter. So, the turtles, and here's like a big whale, and oh, this is down in Australia, the Opera House. Oh, and here's some sharks. And oh, that's the sea anemone. I think that might be where Nemo lives. Let's find out. Finding Nemo. And this is a Scholastic book too. By Disney. Come on, Dad, Nemo called out. It's time for school. The little clownfish, Nemo, was ready for his first day of school. One of Nemo's fins was smaller than the other, so he was not a great swimmer. Nemo, however, didn't let it slow him down. But his father, Marlin, wasn't ready for Nemo to go. He was very protective of his son, and he worried a lot. All right, Marlin reluctantly agreed. Then he went over the safety rules. So, first, we check to see the coast is clear, coached Marlin as he swam out of the anemone. It's the anemone, his home. We go out, and we back in. And we go out, and then we go back in. And then, Dad, Nemo interrupted. He tugged on his father's fin and pulled him out at last. Soon, Nemo and Marlin arrived at the schoolyard. The teacher, Mr. Ray, sailed in to take the children on a field trip. Bye, Dad, Nemo shouted as Mr. Ray swam away. Bye, son, Marlin called. Be safe. You're doing pretty well, remarked one of the other fathers to Marlin. I had a tough time when my oldest went out to the drop-off. The drop-off? The drop-off was the edge of the reef, where a fish could swim right out into the ocean sea and right into danger. Marlin immediately tried to catch up with the school group. Meanwhile, Nemo and his new friend, Tad, Shelton, and Pearl sneaked away to look over the edge of the drop-off. I know what that is. A butt. He's looking up here. Tad pointing up to the bottom of a boat. Then Sheldon dared them to see who could swim closest to it. Finally, it was Nemo's turn. Come on, Nemo. How far can you go? Tad challenged him. My dad says it's not safe, Nemo said, not moving. At that moment, Marlin arrived. You were about to swim into open water, he accused him. You think you can do these things, but you just can't, Nemo. Nemo was angry and embarrassed. As soon as his father turned his back, Nemo defiantly took off and swam all the way to the boat. Nemo, get back here, Marlin shouted, but it was too late. A diver appeared, and he scooped Nemo up in a net, swam to the boat, and sped off. Marlin couldn't swim fast enough to catch up with the boat. When he swam into a stream of fish to ask for help, he slammed into one of them. Sir, are you okay? Asked the friendly blue fish. Hi, I'm Dory. I have to find the boat, said Marlin. Hey, I've seen a boat. Follow me. Marlin followed Dory until suddenly she turned around and said, Stop following me. Marlin was confused until Dory explained, I suffer from short-term memory loss. Marlin turned to leave and found himself facing a shark. Bruce, the shark, invited them to a party in a sunken submarine. The party was a meeting of sharks trying not to eat fish. While there, Marlin spotted a diver's mask that had been dropped by Nemo's captor. Marlin hoped the writing on the mask could help him find his son. Ugh! What do these markings mean? I can't read human, explained Marlin. Well, we gotta find a fish that can, encouraged Dory. They both grabbed the mask, which snapped and hit Dory in the face. Ow! Cried Dory, as blood trickled from her nose. The smell of blood made Bruce want to eat fish again. The party was over. Bruce chased the two fish. Luckily, Marlin and Dory escaped from the sub with the mask, and Dory remembered she could read. But before she could read, the mask fell into the deep, dark ocean trench. Dory and Marlin plunged into the scary blackness after it. They couldn't see a thing. Then Dory cried, "I see a light." But the light turned out to be a hungry anglerfish trap. The pair dodged the anglerfish's teeth just in time. As the anglerfish chased them, its light fell on something. "Hey, look! A mask!" shouted Dory. "Read it!" Marlin ordered. "Try to keep the anglerfish away from Dory." "Bring him closer. I need the light," Dory answered. Marlin led the anglerfish back and forth while Dory read the address on the mask. Then Dory and Marlin escaped in the nick of the time. "P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney," said Dory, proud as they swam off. "Well, now where's that?" wondered Marlin. It turned out that 42 Wallaby Way was a dentist's office in Sydney, Australia. The diver who had caught Nemo was the dentist, and he put the little fish into his office aquarium. The aquarium was the home to an interesting group of fish known as the Tank Gang. A friendly pelican named Nigel was perched on the dentist's windowsill, visiting the Tank Gang. From them, Nemo found out that he was going to become a gift for the dentist's niece, Darla. The Tank Gang told Nemo that the dentist had given Darla a fish last year, and it hadn't survived. "I have to get back to my dad," cried Nemo, horrified. The leader of the Tank Gang, Gil, reassured Nemo that they would find a way to escape before Darla arrived. You guys see Darla there? Yeah, that fish doesn't look very happy. Meanwhile, back in the ocean, "P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney." Dory proudly repeated the address over and over. Marlin asked a school of moonfish if they could tell him how to get to Sydney. The moonfish didn't want to help Marlin, but they were happy to help Dory. They formed themselves into an arrow, pointing the direction of Sydney. "Great," said Marlin, rushing off in the direction they had indicated. "Oh, hey, ma'am," the moonfish said to Dory. "When you come to the trench, swim through it, not over it." "I'll remember," said Dory, as she hurried to catch Marlin. "I gotta tell you something," shouted Dory. When she finally caught up to him at the edge of the scary trench, she couldn't remember what she needed to say. "We are going to swim over this thing," Marlin said. "Something's telling me we should swim through it," said Dory. But Marlin easily tricked her into forgetting and was happily following him. As it turned out, danger was lurking in the clear water above the trench. Dory was the first to find it. "Ow!" Dory yelled. A baby jellyfish stung her. Marlin rushed over and shooed the baby away. "Let's be thankful this time it was just a little one," Marlin said. But then, when they looked around, Marlin and Dory discovered they were surrounded by hundreds of jellyfish. "This is bad," said Marlin. But Dory was giggling. "Hey, watch this!" she said, bouncing on the tops of the jellyfish. Marlin quickly made up a game of jumping on the jellyfish tops. But there was one rule. "You can't touch the tentacles," Marlin explained. The race began after a while. Marlin hopped out of the jellyfish forest, but then he turned around. Dory was nowhere in sight. "Dory!" Marlin cried. Then he saw her caught in a jellyfish tentacles. Marlin swam back to his friend and dragged her out of the jellyfish forest. Then everything went black. Later, Marlin woke to find that he was riding on the back of a sea turtle named Crush. "Saw the whole thing, dude," said Crush. He was quite impressed with Marlin's bravery. Marlin and Dory were in a group of sea turtles traveling on the East Australian Current, DEAC, headed for Sydney. Marlin told the turtles about his quest to find his son. The story quickly passed from sea creature to sea creature. Finally, Nigel, the pelican friend of the tank gang, heard about Marlin's search. The ride on the current was such great fun for Marlin and Dory. But suddenly Crush called out, "Get ready! Your exit's coming up, man!" "Thank you, dude, Crush!" Marlin shouted as he and Dory left the current. They soon found themselves in very murky water, looking for Sydney. "Let's ask somebody for directions," suggested Dory, spotting what looked like a small fish far away. "There's somebody!" "It's a fish we don't know. It could ingest us," Marlin said nervously. But Dory continued, "Woohoo, little fella," she called. But soon Marlin and Dora discovered the little fish was a giant whale. In one big mouthful, it swallowed them both. "We're in a whale," shouted Marlin. "Wow, a whale? But now I speak well." Dory listened to the whale sounds. "He said we should go to the back of the throat." Marlin was irritated. "Of course he wants us to go to the back. That's where he's going to eat us." "He says it's time to let go." Dory told Marlin, so Marlin let go. Suddenly he and Dory soon found themselves being shot out of the whale. They flew into the air and then splashed back into the ocean. Then the two of them recovered. They realized that they were in Sydney Harbor. "You were right, Dory. We made it." "We're going to find my son," cheered Marlin. "All we have to do is find the boat that took him." But Sydney Harbor was full of boats. The two fish searched all through the night. The next morning, a hungry pelican scooped the exhausted pair of fish into his beak as he flew towards them. "No! I didn't come this far to be breakfast!" called Marlin. He braced himself for the pelican's throat so the bird couldn't swallow him. The pelican coughed, and the two fish landed on the pier. Just then, Nigel arrived. "I gotta find my son Nemo!" screamed Marlin. Nigel recognized Marlin as Nemo's father. "Hey, wait! Hop inside my mouth," he told Marlin and Dory. "I can take you to your son." "I don't know. Hop out of one mouth into another? Think about that." Back at the dentist office, things were going badly for little Nemo. Niece Darla was due to arrive any moment. The dentist had Nemo in a water-filled plastic bag, ready to give her. There he is. The dentist placed the bag with panicked Nemo on the table. The tank gang instructed Nemo to push the side of the bag so it would roll out the open window. But just as Nemo succeeded in getting the bag rolling, the dentist noticed. "Oh, that would be a nasty fall," said the dentist, catching the bag and setting it down on a tray. Suddenly, the door to the office slammed open and Darla stomped in. But Nemo had an idea. He pretended to be dead, hoping that the dentist would flush him down the toilet. From there, Nemo planned to swim to the ocean. "Hello, Darla, honey," said the dentist to his niece. "Oh no," he murmured when he noticed the motionless Nemo. The dentist quickly hid the bag behind his back so Darla wouldn't see it. Moments later, the window burst open. In flew Nigel carrying Dora and Marlin. "What the?" exclaimed the dentist. Even Nigel collided with him. The dentist dropped the bag, holding Nemo onto a tray. A sharp instrument on the bag tore a hole in the bag. Then, from his view, Nigel's beak, Marlin spotted Nemo and thought his son was dead. "Nemo!" he cried. Nemo heard his father's voice, but it was too late. The dentist had closed Nigel's beak and shoved him through the window. In the confusion, Darla had picked up the bag and swung it back and forth, chanting, "Fishy! Fishy!" Nemo poured out of the hole in the bag and became stranded in a dental tool. The tank gang came to the rescue. With the help of her friends, Gil catapulted out of the water and hit the dental tool with his tail and launched Nemo through Darla's grabby hands and into the spit tank. Nemo disappeared down the drain. "Don't worry," Gil yelled. "All drains lead to the ocean." Nemo swooped and swerved through the pipes. It was quite a ride. Back in Sydney Harbor, Marlin sadly said goodbye to Nigel and Dory. He swam past 2 crabs on a drain pipe, and then he joined a school of grouper fish. Marlin started to swim home. Nemo, meanwhile, ended his ride through the pipes of Sydney. He popped up through a hole next to the very same 2 crowds. "Oi! Got a live one here," said the crab. "Have you seen my dad?" Nemo asked. But he soon realized the crabs were only interested in catching and eating him. So off Nemo swam, in the opposite direction that his father had gone. Before long, Nemo found Dory swimming in circles and crying. "I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am. I think I'm lost. I think I lost somebody. But I need to remember." "I'm Nemo," said the little fish. "I'm looking for someone too." "Nemo, that's a nice name," murmured Dory, not paying much attention. The 2 fish searched together for a while. Suddenly, Dora remembered. "Nemo!" She grabbed the little guy's face tight with her fins. "You're not dead! And your father!" "You know my father?" asked Nemo. But Dory was already moving. "This way! Quick! Quick!" Dory and Nemo swam over the 2 crabs on the pipe and asked them whether they had seen Marlin. "I'm not telling. There's no way you're going to make me," one of the crabs replied. Dory was in no mood for this attitude. She grabbed the crab and thrust him above the water for a hungry seagull to grab. "Mine, mine, 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 mine." The crab quickly gave Dory and Nemo the directions they needed. Nemo and Dory rushed to the fishing grounds to look for Marlin. "Dad! Dad!" yelled Nemo, until he finally spotted Marlin in a crowd of grouper fish. Marlin rushed to Nemo. Father and son were together at last. "Look out!" yelled Dory. An enormous fishing net suddenly swept past them. The net missed Nemo and Marlin, but Dory and the grouper fish were caught. "Help!" screamed Dory. "Dad and I know what to do," Nemo called, rushing to the rescue. "No, no, no! Come back!" shouted. He didn't want to lose his son again. "Dad," said Nemo, "I can do this." "I know you can," Marlin finally agreed. As Nemo swam into the net with the other fish, he's smaller, he could get in and out of the net. "I can do this. I know I can." Nemo urged the fish deep inside the net to swim down to the bottom, while Marlin told those near the outside of the net to do the same. Together, Nemo and Marlin rallied the fish to swim together, causing the net to break loose, and the fish escaped, cheering. Nemo and Marlin were united. Nemo and Marlin brought Dory back to the reef. Nemo started school again. He was overjoyed to be with his friends and Mr. Ray, the school teacher. Just as Mr. Ray started to pull away, Nemo looked back at his dad. Then Nemo asked Mr. Ray to wait. Nemo raced back and gave his dad a big hug. "Love you, Dad," said Nemo. "I love you too, son," said Marlin while holding tightly. "Now, go have an adventure. And off they swam. So, and little Marlin, he met a lot of people, didn't he? He made some school friends and his teacher, Mr. Ray, and here's Crush, dude. You know, and Bruce the shark, and the pufferfish. Oh, Finding Nemo. The end.